and this is Chai Chat and Community. Although not widely known, dowry abuse is becoming a growing menace in Australia. And recently, Tawfiq has made two films on that. And to talk about it, I am joined by Srishti, one of the actors. She's a model and an actor. Bobby, who is a well known community member, a singer, and an actor. And Taufeeq Ahmed Sheikh, who has directed the films. He is also a correspondent, a presenter, and a creative director. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Bobby's on mute. Oh, now we can see her. Before we start talking about the film and what it meant to you people, can you tell us something about yourselves? Srishti, shall we just start with you because it's easier to, yeah?
Absolutely. So my name is Srishti Agarwal. I'm currently Miss India Australia 2019. I'm very passionate about standing out for anything to do with women, especially. I feel like it's so important to make a stand, to have us women out there empowering women, because sometimes you realize that in our community, it's very hard for a South Asian especially to stand out. So along with that passion, I'm also doing my CA, so I'm an accountant, and I'm only 23 years old.
Wow. Tawfiq?
Shall we let Bobby take from here?
Yeah, sure, Bobby.
Okay. A little bit about myself.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I have two boys, and that's a little bit about my family life. My passion is music and theater, and singing is the part of the music beat. And this, I do a lot of little plays, but have recently got into this plays like this on domestic violence. I did one long time back, and this was the second one, and doing another one again on the 28th of November. It is like Srishti said, it's really good doing sort of a thing through plays, and the awareness it brings across is really good. And because it's women who need to see this as well and come out and talk and talk for themselves and come out of their shells. So yes, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah. Thank you, Bobby. Tawfiq?
Thank you, Saleh, first of all, for having us on this show.
Pleasure.
We've had the experience of having some really interesting conversation through your platform.
Yes.
So we hope that you continue doing the same. A little bit about me. My name is Taufeeq Ahmed Sheikh. I come from the city of Mumbai, India. I am living in Sydney for the past 11 odd years. पर 2 साल पहले जो है जिंदगी ने एक ऐसा करवट ली कि सोचा कि let's go back to your first love, which was always media, creative arts, and performing arts. That something essentially was one of my magnets throughout my teenage and early 20s. So since I have come up on that journey, I have been blessed with working with some phenomenal actors and some phenomenal talents, and two of them are here with you today. Here on, where the journey takes forward is only your guess is as good as mine. However, the only thing that I do focus on is use whatever limited talents that I do have to the best of my abilities and create the best possible art I can in any form or the other. So radio is something that keeps me busy every week. Films is something which is a matter of opportunity, and theater, whenever the likes of Bobby and Srishti say yes to work with me, I'll be more than happy to join on that.
And you forgot your emceeing that you were doing this morning.
Yeah, like 4.5 minutes back, yes. And this morning, yes. Thank you.
Tawfiq, why did you decide to make a movie on dowry abuse? And when you were deciding to make the movie, did you do any research?
Saleh, वो कहते हैं ना कि luck favors the brave. So as theater professionals, and I'm sure senior actors like Bobby, they can vouch for this, that we believe in making sure that the the ones who are comfortable, they are made uncomfortable, and the ones who are uncomfortable, we make them at peace. That's essentially, in a nutshell, what the job of art is. So that was something which was always an intention. However, all I could say was I got lucky for the fact that I was a part of particular project which unfortunately did not go through. However, while I was doing that, the producers of the film asked me whether I would like to take up that opportunity and create it again. तो सबसे पहले तो जब वो जिम्मेदारी मुझे गई तो मैंने कहा कि यार मैं डाउरी के बारे में बोल रहा हूँ एंड लिखने की और निर्देशन करने की जिम्मेदारी भी मेरी थी तो आई हैड टू डायरेक्ट एंड राइट एज वेल तो आई आस्क्ड माय फ्रेंड पंकज उपाध्याय हु इज एन एक्सेप्शनल डायरेक्टर ऑफ फोटोग्राफी camera is his muse sort of a thing we joined forces together and we convinced our client that we can come up with a good project decent project once that happened the very big task was whether will we be able to do justice to the subject, and that's when this the process of research began. जिसमें यहाँ के जो community leaders हैं न्यू साउथ वेल्स में मैंने काफी लोगों से बात करी. There was quite a few DV units that we were talking to. What we realized over a period of time कि yes, domestic violence में बहुत सारी चीजें हो रही हैं. There are many laws. However, जो complexity of dowry है उसको इतनी तरह से assess नहीं किया गया है. And that's where I would actually congratulate Victorians for that matter that they beat New South Wales to it. जहाँ मुझे तब पहली बार पता चला कि Victoria has already made it illegal. I said,
Yes,
wow,
it
there
is
is already a
illegal.
precedent set.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I spoke to Manjula O'Connor from Victoria. I was fortunate enough. Manveer Singh Kohli, who I do radio with, was the one who suggested you should go and speak to Manjula O'Connor. She'll be the right person. When she started giving me stats, and more than that, when she started giving me the stories, as much as I can say that I like to call myself self-aware of what's happening, but at this scale, it was just too much to kind of absorb altogether. And that was the day I realized that there is no way that this can be a small thing. पहली brief हमें ये दी कि तुम्हें 3 मिनट में जब बता दो कि हम डाउरी को किस तरह से समझे और 3 मिनट में डाउरी की कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी को कोई नहीं समझा सकता. तो हमने कोशिश अपनी तरफ से करी. Then the second step was getting the community involved because it was a community project. So as much as I've loved working with them, obviously I knew that it was a community volunteer project, so I had to kind of almost beg and request people to come in, except for the few that I've already worked with who were ready to hop on, particularly on this particular thing. So yeah, this is how essentially how the whole journey went in, and the next thing we knew, we were creating some good art, and hopefully once the public release happens, the people will be able to enjoy that as well and understand what really the complexity of this is.
So when are you expecting the release?
It is going through a few bureaucratic process, if I may say it that way.
Yep.
There are quite a few legislations that a subject like dowry has to go through. कि हमने अपनी तरफ से research तो कर लिया, लेकिन client को कैसे पता? So that's why we had to obviously leave it to the patience of bureaucracy and the red tapeism that's involved. So हो जाएगा. Hopefully February next year is where we're expecting that to happen.
Okay. And this is for all of you. What exactly does dowry mean to you? It's not always, giving money when you get married. There is more to it. So whoever wants to start, what does dowry mean to you? Tawfiq, you want to say something?
I'll let the experience take over. Bobby,
I think this is.
No, I'm not experiencing
of
dowry.
course.
Sorry.
It's the experience of life we're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but yes, like Ms. Saleha, you're saying that it's not only to do with money every time. It can be, I think it basically started off in a very different, in the olden times when it started off, it was very different, but it just became a business after
Yes.
that. It was like, it's taken for granted that when the girl does get married and comes into the family, she has to bring in stuff and she has to pay for her food and her, everything. The way it started off was probably the father would give something saying that my daughter's coming to you, for her, the money was for her to spend on her well-being,
Yes.
not for the family's well-being. So, but then it became that no, it was for the family. It was nothing to do with the girl. She didn't get anything. She just had to her parents had to just keep giving the money. for the well-being of the family. I don't know whether it was well-being or, it just
Yes.
became it just started being used, misused, the whole thing.
And if the boy lived overseas, we know what an overseas passport can do
Oh,
and
yes.
how it elevates the boy's status. I mean,
Yeah.
if the boy lives overseas, there is no end.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
तो इट इज इंटरेस्टिंग साले का मैं बटन दैट सृष्टि जिस स्टोरी का पार्ट थी और बॉबी जिस स्टोरी का पार्ट है दे आर एक्चुअली सेइंग टू वेरी डिफरेंट डायमेंशंस एज वेल बॉबी दी would you like to share a bit about how your story went? What was that all about?
So my story was, my son came in to study in Australia, and it's not that they were not a well-off family. They were doing pretty well. And anyway, he came to study, and then he, did whatever he did. And now the fact that he's getting married, it was like, uh, you know, uh, we needed because there is another. I think the girl's mother has a son as well. She has to get him married. Now she's going to ask for dowry based on the fact that her daughters got married to somebody in Australia who's a citizen of Australia. So it's that, it ripples into that kind of
yes, it's a ripple
third
effect.
party.
Yes,
Yes, it's a ripple effect. So, and then the mother-in-law, the role that I played, she's basically sitting in India and she's controlling the son. She's telling the son what needs to be done, treat her like this, do these things, and make sure that, you know, she doesn't go around talking to the neighbors and stuff like that. And because in Australia, it's not illegal still, so people get away with it. Yes, domestic violence is illegal, but the fact that it's stemming from dowry, it's not. So I think I don't know Tawfiq, but I think if I was a dowry victim and I went to the police and I said like, look, my husband keeps his family keeps asking for gifts.
जी.
The police may say that's fine.
Hmm.
They don't know what
यहाँ
dowry is.
पे एक्चुअली बॉबी थैंक यू सो मच फॉर एक्चुअली ब्रिंगिंग दैट अप बिकॉज यहाँ पे सबसे बड़ा जो
Yeah.
प्रॉब्लम है वो यही है कि
Huh.
डाउरी जो है वो एक सिविल मैटर है क्रिमिनल
Huh.
मैटर नहीं है और
Yes.
डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस जो है वो एक क्रिमिनल मैटर है
Criminal matter.
एज मच एज बोथ ऑफ देम आर ऑफेंस
yes,
दे आर नॉट ट्रीटेड द सेम
They're not treated the same.
राइट
Right.
तो अगर आप किसी फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्स ऑफिसर के पास यहाँ पर आप जाते हैं और
Hmm.
बोलते हैं कि आई एम अ विक्टिम ऑफ डाउरी तो फिर
Hmm.
वो ओनस इज ऑन टू देम कि वो फर्दर एक्सप्लोर करे कि इसमें डीवी का एलिमेंट आता है कि नहीं
आता
क्योंकि
है
अगर
कि
नहीं आता है तो फिर उनके हाथ टाइड है जिस वजह से ये लेजिस्लेशन पुश जरूरी थी
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
and
Yeah, that
Srishti, if
makes
I can
sense.
probably push this back to you because it came as a shocker to most of us with regards to this. But how much of a shock? Because I believe you've grown up and born in Australia, so I want you to kind of give me that aspect as well today that we've got the chance of having this conversation. What did dowry mean to you before and after this movie?
Dowry was basically what I saw in movies, and it was like you literally just giving money to as you're getting married. So as I grew up, I didn't quite understand it because I assumed you take that money for your well-being, as Bobby Auntie said before. Like it's for your own well-being.
Hmm.
It's for your own future, your security, basically. So that was my understanding of why itna sara hum paise leke jate hain. But it's a bit worrying because when I see movies, and especially when I was a part of this short film, realizing how real this actually is, and it's not just like, like money. It's like it's actual objects like cars and TVs, and it's actually much bigger. And then,
and I think also repaying the fees, the debt that
Yes.
people collect when they come to Australia to
Yeah.
study, and that
Yeah.
the fact that they become permanent residents or citizens, and then
Mhm.
the girl side has to repay the debt. I mean, and also parents back home are complicit with all this. It's
Yeah.
the boy side, the girl side, and that is what I've learned
Mhm.
recently, and that has been the biggest shock to me. That
It is.
the girls' parents also know it because, like you said, Bobby, they can then bargain for their sons to get married because And Srishti's done a fantastic job. I mean, yeah.
Srishti, I remember you went through a lot of emotional turbulences yourself, and rightly so. I'm a part of that was obviously the fact that you were in that situation and that emotion as well. Uh, what is the worst part of dowry that you realize in this entire aspect?
The abuse that comes with it.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's not just physical abuse, it's mental abuse, it's emotional abuse, it's everything that comes with it that's so traumatizing. Like you said with the stats, and I myself think I'm very aware of things, but coming to learn from the police officers that what we were experiencing wasn't even a third of what actually happens. And it's like to a very large scale, the abuse is very scary. I think in my short film, in the Aussie Victim, you see I only go to the police way after when I've fully been injured. Now they'll believe me. Now they'll actually hear me. They can see it on me now. I'm scarred. I'm bruised. I'm in pain. So I completely think that it's very scary for someone to go through that, like absolute trauma.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is for both the ladies. 25th is White Ribbon Day, which raises awareness among Australian men and boys about the roles they can play to prevent violence against women. Do you think enough is being done? Bobby?
I don't
You
think
have two young boys.
Yeah.
Do you think enough is being done?
I don't think so, Saleha. I have two young boys, and when I did this film, I did talk to them about it. Uh, but yeah, for them, because they've been brought up here or what, I don't know. The first question was, does it still happen? So it's more, they had no idea that this happens, first of all, because we don't have dowry in our family. So they've never seen, they've never been exposed to it. But yes, they have seen movies and things like that. But no, I don't think so. I think more can be done. Definitely.
Yeah, I think my experience with White Ribbon Day actually came from school. So, as in high school, we were actually volunteering for White Ribbon Day. Where in stations we would give out badges and bandanas and many things to collect money and raise awareness for this. And it was just surprising when I think I was in year 9, and just surprising that a lot of people don't even know about this. Like, we went up to them, here's a white ribbon, please at least donate $5 or something. They would be like, well, what's White Ribbon Day? So it was very, very shocking for me, because everyone knows about other days that Cancer Council's a part of.
Yes. So you're right. Yes, not enough is being done. Not enough is being done. And I somehow feel, and maybe it is just my own thinking, that the governments, no matter where you live, like you live in New South Wales, I live in Victoria, I think sometimes police and the government are a bit scared to touch cultural issues because they don't know where to draw the line and what is right and what is wrong. And so, Tawfiq, this is for you. Dowry, we say it's not specific to any one community. It happens. I know in Islam we talk about meher money, where you actually pay money to get the girl home, but we know that doesn't happen. I think that's just on paper, and that's what we would like to think. So when men or the men's parents ask a woman for gifts, it is considered gifts. It is not considered dowry, but that is also dowry, isn't it?
जी सलेहा जी, अगर मैं आपसे कहूं कि अगर आप मुझे डिनर पे इनवाइट करती हैं किसी दिन घर पर इंशाल्लाह, ठीक है, और उसके बाद फिर मैं आपसे कहूंगा हाँ मैं डिनर पे तो आऊंगा ही, लेकिन मुझे जो है एक मर्सिडीज चाहिए पहले, रिटर्न गिफ्ट में मुझे जो है पहले आप वादा कर लो कि वो दोगे, तो फिर काहे का इनविटेशन हुआ और काहे का एक्सेप्टेंस हुआ? ट्रांजैक्शन हो गया और ऑपरेशन हो गया ना। तो जिस तरह से आपने शुरुआत में कहा था कि डाउरी की शुरुआत जो हुई थी उसकी इंटेंशन या मोटिव कुछ अलग थी और आज वो कुछ और सूरत ले चुकी है, एंड नो ट्रेडिशन, नो कल्चर हैज बीन इम्यून टू दैट। लेट मी गो अ स्टेप फर्दर एंड से कि अगर जिन लोगों ने, आपके ऑडियंसेस ने, द सिटी ऑफ मुंबई, जो किसी जमाने में बॉम्बे कहलाई जाती थी, दैट is actually a result of somebody's dowry to somebody. The Portuguese colony हुआ करती थी वो, और
Hmm.
ब्रिटिश को जो है उसे डाउरी में गया था, because there was a marriage between a lord from Portuguese and from to the British. So the city of Bombay, the biggest city of India, arguably, and one of the most wealthiest
Well
cities
known,
of
yes, and the
well
most
known,
well known, yes,
Yeah.
because of Bollywood.
everything that's good about India, with regards to the popularity, everything, somewhere down the line, Bombay gets touched with it.
Hmm.
And it is the multicultural, everything that you can talk about is there. And it is a beneficiary of somebody's dowry to someone, right? सिमिलरली जहां अब हम ये कहते हैं कि यार हमारे यहाँ तो दावरी देते नहीं है, हम तो लेते हैं, ठीक है, तो यहाँ पर जो है, अगर वो प्राइड के साथ कोई मुस्लिम फैमिली कहती है कि हमारी डॉटर्स को तो डाउरी मिलती है, पहले तो वो लोग सबसे पहले फॉरगेट कर पूरी तरह भूल जाते हैं कि किस वजह से चाहिए थी। और डाउरी इस वक्त सिर्फ और सिर्फ निकाह में कबूल है बोलने से 5 मिनट पहले के ऐलान के लिए रह गई है। कितनी दी थी भाई महर? अबे 5 लाख दी थी। हाँ बोल दी, देनी किसको है?
That's right.
राइट, दैट
Yeah.
ब्लडी एटीट्यूड हैज टू चेंज, राइट?
Hmm.
अबे एक बार नहीं, दो सिर्फ तलाक होगा तभी तो देनी है। मैंने कहा अच्छा, ये कब हुआ, ये कब डिसाइड हुआ कि सिर्फ तलाक होगा तभी महर देनी? महर तो आपको पहले देनी है, बिफोर यू कंज्यूमेट द मैरिज, और उसके
Hmm.
बाद इफ इट रिजल्ट्स यू हैव टू गिव इट अगेन। तो यहाँ पे तो कम से कम डाउरी का एक्सचेंज नजर आ रहा है, यहाँ पे तो बोल के कट लेते हैं। तो दैट इज हाउ कॉन्वुलेटेड द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ डाउरी इज, राइट? और यहाँ पे अगर डाउरी का भी आप देखें तो डाउरी को मिसयूज भी कहा गया है, तो इसे कोई वुमन प्रॉब्लम या मैन प्रॉब्लम नहीं कहा जा सकता है। Men are equal victims, not in proportion, but there are victims as well. False dowry cases is
Hmm.
rampant in India, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it is not restricted to Hindu, Muslim, or Christian. It is not restricted to man and woman. It is something for everybody. Or Salaj, before I actually let you take this back, I do want to raise one point on the white ribbon aspect that you said. The white ribbon essentially is somewhere down. We are also responsible as men to kind of educate ourselves of how domestic violence and things work. And to every mother that is actually listening to this, मेरी एक छोटी सी दरखास्त आप सबसे है, please stop telling your boys to grow up to be strong.
Yes.
That is the
Thank you,
biggest
Tawfiq. Thank you.
biggest
Yeah.
biggest disservice that you will do to yourself as a mother, and your child, and to the society that you're raising your kids in. लड़का पैदा हुआ है, उसको रोने की जो है क्या कहते हैं, सलाहियत दीजिए, ठीक है? उसको अब दे आर नॉट डेल्ट विथ, दे आर नॉट रेज्ड टू डील विथ वीकनेस।
Hmm.
और अक्सर जो होता है ना, जो हम बचपन से पढ़ते हैं, अंगूर खट्टे हैं, जब वो औरतों को देखते हैं कि वो लोग इतनी एक्सप्रेसिव हैं, इमोशनली इतनी इंटेलिजेंट हैं, तो उनको रोना आ रहा है तो वो रो रही हैं, अगर उनको हंसना आ रहा है तो उनको वो हंस रही हैं, दे आर। और हम यहाँ देखते हैं, हम ये ज़ॉम्बी की तरह बैठे हुए हैं कि मैं हंसूंगा तो बोलेंगे मस्करा है, और अगर मैं रो दूंगा तो बोलेगा मर्द नहीं है। जब इस मेंटालिटी के साथ वो बच्चा बढ़ रहा है ना, वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ मेंटल डिप्रेशन इश्यूज के विक्टिम्स को रेस कर रहे हैं, ब्रीड कर रहे हैं। तो अगर कल को आपका बेटा जो है कहीं ना कहीं जाके खुदा ना खास्ता डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस का परपेट्रेटर बन जाता है, तो कहीं ना कहीं वहां परवरिश में जिम्मेदारी भी गलती थी, as much
I
as
agree.
he would have taken that choice as well. Sorry to take that strong stand,
Hmm.
but it was,
No,
I
I
just thought it
agree.
was
I
important to say.
agree. Absolutely. I think
No, but
we all need to change the way we think, and we have to teach our boys how to respect women. Absolutely.
As much
So
as I hate that term called empowerment, like
yes,
women
I
no,
hate
empowerment,
that.
जैसा होना नहीं चाहिए.
yeah.
There should be justice for all. The one thing that we should avoid is obviously that male thing जो होता है ना, इसको खत्म करना होगा, क्योंकि unless male dependence on strength is the worst thing that you can do to the society, you're actually creating havoc, if not anything else. And this hyper masculinity is something that we need to change even before
Hmm.
addressing women empowerment issues.
Yes,
तो जिस दिन हम
absolutely.
वो कर देंगे ठीक, बाकी सारी चीजें ठीक हो जाएगी.
Thank you, Tawfiq.
So, Saleha, there was a little incident, if you don't mind me
Yes, no,
bringing it.
no, please.
There was one of my friends the other day. She was telling me that she's got a son who's in year 10 or something. So she asked him that, do you have a girlfriend? So he said, no. She said, she's asking him, what if your girlfriend can't cook? So he said, Ma, why are you asking me these? So then I told him, I said, you should teach her how to cook. I said, why? Why don't you ask him to cook? Why do you have to teach her how to cook? Not needed, no? This is what
Yes,
Tawfiq is asking for.
yes.
That boys, let them do the stuff as well. It's not, it's not only the girl who's going to do it for you. Like, thank you very much.
जी एक्चुअली
She
मुझे
does it
याद आ
well
रहा
with.
आपकी बात से, जब मैं ग्रेजुएट होके घर पे पहली बार आया था ना, और मैंने होटल मैनेजमेंट किया है तो सबसे पहले मम्मी ने जो है बोला कि क्या फायदा तेरे ग्रेजुएशन करने का जब तू गोल रोटियां नहीं बना सकता। ठीक
Good.
है, तो दैट वाज द एक्सपेक्टेशन एज अ गाय फ्रॉम मी एज वेल। तो मैं वही देख रहा हूँ ना कि हमारी एक्सपेक्टेशन गोल रोटियां बनाने की सिर्फ लड़कियों से क्यों होती है, और क्या रोटियां बनाने वाला मर्द क्या मर्द नहीं रहता। एज अ मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट जितने शेफ्स आप इंडिया में देखेंगे, टॉप शेफ्स
They're
भी
all
हैं,
men.
देयर आर सो मेनी
Yeah.
मेल्स, राइट।
I think chefs, I think the it
हमें
came
मौका
down
तो
to
दीजिए,
that.
हमें
Yeah,
आती है खाना,
the
हमें
men are the
आता है
cook.
अच्छा खाना पकाना,
Yeah.
हमें मौका दीजिए।
Mm.
Srishti, do you see a change in young people, young
Um,
men and boys?
I do, because I believe it's a lot like nature, but it's also nurture. So it's also how you're raised in your household, how things are. So
Mm.
while school teaches you to be a certain way, whilst you're around your peers and you understand how to do things, in the Aussie Victim, you see how the groom understands, he himself knows what he's doing is wrong, but because that he's
It's
been nurtured, he's
constant.
told that
Mm.
no, you should be doing dairy, you should be like, this is right, this is how we do it, this is how we do it, so don't worry, like ye tere liye hi hai, it's for your investment, your
Yeah.
future. So
Mm.
that twist of the mind. So whilst I do believe a lot of the people nowadays understand it, I do worry that it's all like how the parents think, because it's good to grow up with that kind of mindset that yes, you understand what you're doing is wrong, but can you fight for it? Can you hold your
Mm.
stand? That's more
Are
important.
they fighting for it? I mean, you mix with all youngsters, in your age group, all the men that you meet, are they fighting for it? If they are getting married, are they breaking shackles from their parents and saying, "Nah, I'm not going to take dowry," or "No, I'm not going to listen to you"? What are
I'm
you
actually
saying?
just getting to that
Breaking
stage.
shackles from their parents and saying, "No"?
Is this recording?
Okay, there's some kind
Right.
of an echo. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. So I'm finally entering that stage where my friends are getting married, and it's more so. Actually, I don't even hear the word dowry. It's 50-50 investment
Mm.
here, and it will be like, for us, our future. We'll buy a house together. We'll put 50. You do the engagement, I'll do the wedding. It's very equal. Like a lot of
Yeah,
the
nowadays it is.
very
Yeah.
equal. I
Mm.
hear the word of dowry. I don't even hear the word ki mummy ne aise bola hai or anything. So that's very impressive. And the fact that men take a stand, especially when they hear things about domestic violence, you see your friends fighting for what's right, even very small things. I mean, like just talking about the fact that males don't cry, they don't cook, or like they shouldn't cook kind of thing. I've seen my friends do both of that. So I think that's amazing to see
Mm.
the men growing up and having that kind of mindset.
So it's becoming a partnership.
It is.
Srishti, can I continue that in asking that this hyper masculinity or male dominance or misogyny, is this a South Asian thing, or because you are you can speak for two cultures at the same time?
Yes.
Is it a, a monopoly of South Asians?
I have seen patriarchy more in South Asians than I have seen in others. It's very unfortunate, but I think it's also because you've grown up that way. Like, ladki ghar aati hai, she'll take the guy's name, and then the family will take the guy's name. And then like the guy is the head of the family. He gives decisions. Jo papa kehte hain waise karna hai. So I think you, as South Asians, you're growing up in that kind of household. You're told that the male figure is the patriarch. He is who you listen to. He is who you go to.
Mm.
And that kind of mindset really is not so great. Like I said, would nurture, because that's what matters. I feel like in other cultures, it's very different in the sense that it's more like the females have a lot of a say and a stand, from what I've seen, than they do in South Asians. And it's very unfortunate, but I think that is changing. Like with the new coming generation, what I've seen, I have seen people take a stand for what they believe in. I have seen the women do so much for the family, and the women actually ruling households, which I think is pretty cool.
Great. I hope there is change. We so desperately need it.
Yes.
So this is for both the ladies. So what kind of emotions did you go through while making the film? And did you actually meet any DV victims? Did you speak with them? Because you had to, Srishti, you had to get into a victim's shoes, and Bobby, you had to be this horrible, horrible mother-in-law who was pulling strings sitting in India. So what kind of emotions? Do you want to go first, Bobby?
Yes. So no, I didn't speak to anyone regarding my role. I can't imagine going and talking to someone who's already done this, saying that, what did you do? So, but yeah, the role that I did, I have seen it happening in movies and things like that, but I've not come across anyone who has been this way. No, not in my experience. But yes, I have come across DV victims, um, and yeah, but they have just shared their experiences with me, and you know the usual. I've told them that you should reach out for help, that sort of a thing. But then it's up to them again what they do with their lives, ultimately. So uh, yeah, so yeah, but nothing. And the feeling that I enjoyed doing the role. It was a very interesting role, but yeah, it's a very
It's
pretty
very
wicked role.
sad what happens. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
It
so
is.
it's very sad what happens. Yeah, and
You know,
it's
and
kind of
I'm looking at because I saw the movie. I don't know whether I saw the film, but I'm looking at the boys. I'm looking at you, Bobby.
mm,
Similar age. I cannot believe doing, pulling strings for my son and saying all these things. Am I different, or is it just a small percentage that happens? That is something I can never get my
mm,
head around, because I have also lived in India for the majority of my life.
mm,
I have friends who have sons. Are they doing it? I don't know, because when I met their
mm,
sons, they were teenagers. 16
mm,
years have passed since I have been here. So now they are in their 30s, or yeah, early
mm,
30s. People get married at that time. Is this happening?
yeah.
I don't know. So that's why I want to ask you, what did you feel? Because I hear so much about domestic violence. It is just
Mm,
shocking. Every day is a new stat. Every day there's something new, and you kind of think this can't be happening, but it happens.
mm. It happens. It happens. But I have not, like, within our friend circle and everything. Not really. We used to hear things like the mother-in-law coming and telling us about the new daughter-in-law who's coming. That little bit of gossip. She doesn't do this and she doesn't do that. She doesn't wear a sari, and in the morning when she comes out, she's only wearing a nightie and coming out, stuff like that. So probably there's lots happening in that house, which we don't know about. And the sons were our friends, but they used to kind of ignore their moms quite a bit. So it was like, you know, it's okay. Let her say what she wants to say. Just forget it. Don't
But
worry. Don't listen
but
to
the
her.
but the fact that the mother-in-law is even talking about her daughter-in-law coming in a nightie and sharing it with her friends, I
Friend.
just find it.
That Yeah. It's ridiculous. Huh?
And that's how it all starts, isn't it? it's
That's
it's little things. I mean, why do you have to say? You wouldn't say that about your son. But
that's
yes, but
mm.
Srishti, what about you?
It's a matter of double standards, if I may say it that way.
Of course
So
it is.
Yeah, it is.
there is a lot, and yeah, I do take the onus onto me as well, and I'll completely blame myself for doing this in this movie here. I have ensured, if it's reaching to the audience enough, that इस यहाँ पे हर एक का फॉल्ट है, कोई एक का फॉल्ट नहीं है, ठीक है। चाहे वो एटलीस्ट इन बॉबीज स्टोरीज केस, ठीक है, तो वहां पर जो है, चाहे वो लड़का जिसने शादी के लिए हाँ बोला इस एक्सपेक्टेशन से कि डाउरी आएगी, चाहे वो जो मदर बॉबी ने प्ले किया है, मदर इन लॉ रहा, सिमिलरली उसका जो उसके जो पेरेंट्स हैं there as well, the friends that were of the husband, they were playing that. But at the same time, coming really down to the woman herself as well, who got married, right? She comes from a place where she has the rights as well. Of course the reality is very different. However, in text we have they have rights. यहाँ पे कहीं ना कहीं ऑनस आपके ऊपर आ जाता है कि कब आप रेज करोगे अपनी वॉइस को, और ये जरूरी है क्योंकि आज भी नो मैटर, इवन इफ यू आर इन ऑस्ट्रेलिया फॉर दैट मैटर, लेट मी पुट इट दिस वे, no matter how much of a victim you are, unless and until you don't raise voice, it's still the same. It is your same South Asian problem till the time you choose to raise a voice. So it is not India or Australia that makes the difference. It is the choice to raise your voice, and it is the confidence, of course, in the law and the order, of course. तो वहां से हमको कहीं ना कहीं ये टेक जरूर लेना चाहिए कि इस पूरे कॉन्वोलेटेड रिश्ते में सब कहीं ना कहीं जिम्मेदार है, एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली जिम्मेदार वो औरत भी है जो चाहे मजबूरन हो चाहे चॉइस से हो, आवाज नहीं उठा पाती है.
Oh, Srishti's gone. Hello, Pankaj.
Yeah, Srishti is right here.
Srishti, hi, Srishti.
Can you guys?
What? Yes, yes.
Yes.
What did you feel?
As I was saying before, it was a very traumatizing experience. Whilst I haven't seen or spoken to any direct domestic violence victim, I remember as a child, I think I might have been 10, and I went to my neighbor's house, and I was like, oh, what, can I meet your mom? And I remember him saying, "Nahi, Papa, Mama ko maar rahe hain." I remember as a child, I was like, what's happening? What do you mean? And he's like, "Nee, this is a daily, just leave it." The first thing I thought as a child was, how is he going to grow up living in this kind of household? That obviously worried me. And then I was like, how is she going through? Is she reporting this?
They most likely are not.
Most likely not. And obviously, as a child, at that point, all I could do was go tell mom. So now that I think about it, I remember mom spoke to them, and obviously the wife was like, no, just leave it. This is our family matter. Like, there's no need for anyone else to get into this.
Absolutely.
But I felt like as a child, that's all I could do at that point. And now maybe I would have done things very differently, but that's probably the only experience I had. So when I got this role, I kept imagining myself as her, because I was like, she didn't take a stand. So in me, I was like, I'm going to go take that stand for her. So that's just maybe because I held that on to me for a long time, and I was like, I need to go do this. So the inner me finally let it out, even though we haven't met them since, but it was a traumatizing experience. So I think during the whole film, the one time which really woke me up was the final scene in the house where I'm getting thrown out. I think that's where I was like, what is happening? Because a lot of it was happening like improvisation in terms of what was actually happening to me there. So it was I think that mentally had abused me for a while, and I actually had Akshat, my the groom for the short film, actually messaging me daily to make sure if I was okay, because it was very challenging. It was a very traumatizing experience, I would say, but it teaches you so much. I've learned a lot, and I think that's what I'm going to take with me.
Thank you. Here's a message from Pankaj.
Greetings, everybody.
Yeah.
Hello, Pankaj.
Hi, Pankaj. The gentleman I was mentioning about at the start, my partner in crime. Pankaj Upadhyay, the cinematographer, the director of photography, and also helped me conceptualize the story of which Srishti was a part of. And apart from the many other hats that volunteer, it was a community volunteer project. So I can do this, I want to do this, and I may think I can do this. So ये तीनों categories सब कर सकते हो आप लोग क्योंकि तो so many of us, like Ruchir for that matter, as such, he's never acted, but he was just there as to help me. So it was there. Srishti, just based on what you told me, it reminds me of one of my interviews which I had with a doctor, right, around the scripting time as well. तो उन्होंने कहा था कि as police and doctors, we know exactly when we see a wound कि वो क्यों हुआ है और कैसे हुआ है, की
Yes,
circumstances में हुआ. So there's not a lot of things, right?
Yes.
The amount of times women come to emergencies, and this is an emergency registrar talking, by the way.
Yeah.
मैं किस हॉस्पिटल का नाम नहीं लूंगा, मतलब पता चल जाएगा आप लोग किसकी बात कर रहे हो. तो वो जनाब मुझसे कह रहे हैं कि the moment somebody comes in, we know who, what has happened, background पूरी story है. आप पूछते रह जाओ, वो बंदी 7 out of 10 times नहीं बताएगी कि क्या हुआ था. बाथरूम में गिर गई थी,
Yep.
शीशा लग गया था,
Yeah.
ये हो
Fell off
गया
the
था.
stairs. Yeah.
और ये तब है जब सब कुछ वहां पे the perpetrator is not around. In some cases, the perpetrator himself is actually taking the woman. जाओ
Yeah, taking her to
बाहर
the
रोका है,
doctor.
emergency, चलो अंदर जाओ अब यहाँ से, अभी अपना इलाज करा के आओ. These are incidents that happen. So
I have heard
yes,
exactly the same thing when I had Manjula and another GP, Bindia, on the show, and Bindia said exactly the same thing. That half the time the problem has been that the victim has come with the perpetrator because the perpetrator is the husband. And it is difficult for her to then talk, but they have ways of finding out and they have ways of knowing. Obviously, she wouldn't tell me what the ways are because then it defeats the whole purpose. But she said they know exactly what's happening. And I have to show some lovely messages that are coming. Hello, Pankaj, again. And the next message, I'm sure you guys can read it.
thank you for bringing together this forum and for addressing the issue how it should be. More force with you.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Pankaj. And there is Rima Sen.
Yes. Hi, Rima.
Hi, Rima, another fabulous actor.
Well, you've done a great job. So this is what I want to know. So if dowry is not yet a crime in New South Wales?
Not yet, hopefully.
Yep. So, not yet a crime in New South Wales. Why did you make the films? And what message are you trying to convey?
सिर्फ एक था, if it can start the ripple effect, agar if it results into a legislation change, that will be the biggest achievement of this. We may not be the reason of it happening, but even if we know that we are a reason, or at least we were amongst the ones who tried, that could be one of the things
So
that
you're
we
the
could
catalyst.
take down after our deaths to us, that was what was our achievement. This was it.
Some contribution. Yes, definitely.
Do you feel the same, Srishti?
I
Your
do.
contribution? Yeah.
I definitely do. And I personally would love for this to be shown in schools. Obviously, like grades that I can actually view it, but I would love for it to be shown in schools because I feel like I said, that it's very important for that education for the children. Like, of course, what they see at home is completely different, but if they're going to see this, they're really going to understand the impact, which you never understand if you're just hearing something. So I think that's really important.
Seeing something, yeah, makes a difference.
Thank you, guys. It's been lovely chatting with you. I want to see the films again. And would you be able to show it to us when it comes in February, Tawfiq?
It is a promise. It might come in early as well. हो सकता है
Yeah,
delay
that's
भी हो
fine.
जाए, but
Yeah.
it's an tentative as well. But जिस भी दिन रिलीज होगी, of course, public eye के लिए. इस वक्त सिर्फ media members ने देखा है और कुछ बहुत ही selective stakeholders ने देखा है, and we want to make sure that it has the desired intent is met. So इस वजह से we've kind of kept it a little secretive, ताकि हो जाएगा उसके बाद बात करेंगे पहले से नहीं. So let's that happen, and of course I promise this next time it will be with some other more interesting people to talk, and we will obviously screen the film as well.
Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Alea.
Thank you, and
Thank
have
you.
a good night, all of you. Okay, bye.
Bye.